My name's Bubby Upton and I'm a 24-year-old event rider for Team GB. I've been lucky enough to represent my country 5 times and to be crowned the under-18 and under-21 European champion, as well as the under-25 British champion. So I'm very fortunate to have had some amazing times and memories in the past, but I'm an unbelievably competitive person, so I have big dreams and goals for the future. Why I do eventing, I think it's the ultimate test between a horse and rider. What we require from a horse is so unique in terms of they have to be flashy and ideally lead the dressage. They don't have to be as brave as anything and trust us so much cross country. And then on the final day they have to pick up their toes and jump like a jumper, which is like no other sport. So the bond required for me is more than any other equestrian sport for sure. But also for me, just working with the horses day in and day out, it's such a fundamental part to what we do. So if you don't love that bit, then it doesn't really work, because there are a lot of lows in our sports before you get the few highs. So it's incredibly important to just love working with the horses and the different variety of horses that we have in order to find the key to getting the most out of each horse that we have. How did I get to this point? That's a very good question, and I think it's quite a long-winded answer, to be honest. I have always absolutely loved riding. I have ridden for as long as I can remember. I think much to my parents' disappointment, they couldn't make me give up. My sister and my brother, we all rode together at Pony Club when we were younger, but they saw sense and went off and have got different careers in London. But for me, it's always been horses. It's what I look forward to every day when I wake up. I think the love for it is the most important factor of why I'm here today. But also when I was 13, I was lucky enough to find 2 incredible ponies called Alfie and How and Loganberry, and they were instrumental in my career, to be honest, because they were kind of the ones that put me on the map for the first time. They gave me the opportunity of representing my country, and I guess from that came more opportunities, gave me exposure. I'm unbelievably grateful to them for what they taught me. And then those 2 ponies were then moved on as my age category came to an end in the ponies, and the next chapter was with 2 horses called Eros DHI and Fernhill Rockstar. With Eros DHI, we went to the European Championships where we won individual gold and team silver, and he as a horse taught me more than any other horse ever has or probably will. He taught me how to win, but he also taught me how to lose, which is something that I have never liked doing. And then Fernhill Rockstar was a slightly more experienced horse, so I did my first 4-star and my first advanced on him. And then now, I guess I'm unbelievably lucky to have had those different experiences in the past, and I take them with me, and fingers crossed I can carry on achieving my big dreams and goals in the future. For sure, it's taken a lot of hard work and determination to get to where I am today. There's been a lot of sacrifices along the way as well, and I've definitely had to learn how to be resilient, because as we know with horses, things very rarely go to plan. So that's been a big learning curve for me. But without my family, it would have been a hell of a lot harder. They've been with me through my highs to celebrate, and they've also picked me up through my lows. So without them, I don't know where I'd be today. I'd like to think I'd be where I am still because of, the hard work and the drive and my big dreams, but they've definitely helped me along the road, particularly my mum. She's given up so much to enable me to kind of, I guess, achieve the big load that I always put on my plate. So for 4 years I was at university up in Edinburgh, and I live down near Newmarket in Suffolk, so it doesn't take a genius to work out that that's not a very clever idea, and a lot of people thought I was crazy, and I definitely questioned myself at times. I thought going to university that I would choose one or the other, that I'd go to university and I would either not miss riding when I was at university, or when I was riding back at home that I wouldn't miss university. And I remember so clearly ringing up mum quite stressed saying, I love them both, what do I do? And she said, don't worry, just think how lucky you are to have 2 things in your life that you're so passionate about. But I would basically get a flight up from Stansted up to Edinburgh twice a week and back down. I was very lucky that the flights cost kind of £15 from Stansted up to Edinburgh, so I could fly up and down around my lectures. So I rode first thing on a Monday morning at about 4 AM until 9 o'clock, and then would get a 10:30 flight up, lectures on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, fly back after my lectures on Thursday to then ride until very late at night, and then miss the weekends up at university, train all weekend, and then fly back up on a Monday. So that was my routine and it worked, but I have to say I'm very glad it's over now because I'm not sure I could do it again. My biggest achievement so far, I'd say probably becoming the under-25 British champion, because it was an amazing backstory with the horse. He's called Cannavaro, and he's a horse that I had for a long time. He was a show jumper and we had a pretty up and down journey to get there. I will openly admit that I doubted him a lot along the way. He was for sale at one point because he lacked the stamina, so for him to prove me wrong, I've never been so happy to be proved wrong in my life. And he then went on to finish 6th in the 5-star at Pau in 2022, so that was also an unbelievably amazing week and a moment that I'm very proud of. But I guess there are some horses that just touch you more than others, and he's one that I have a very special bond with, so I'm very proud of those 2 moments with him. Obviously Badminton right now is my prime focus with Kola, and I'm so lucky to still have him to go there, so I would love to put in a really strong performance there. I'm not really one to set targets in terms of placings, because hopefully if everything goes to plan, that will take care of itself. And then I am very lucky to have an amazing other string of horses, including Magic Roundabout, who's going to be targeted at the under-25 championships at Bramham, and then hopefully make his 5-star debut at Burghley. So those are 2 very big targets for my team and I this year, and fingers crossed we can get the result that all the hard work is aiming towards. I'm unbelievably excited to be heading back to Badminton again this year for the 2nd time. Last year was obviously my first time competing there, and it was just totally incredible, to be honest. This year will be totally different for me, just having 1 horse and just that 1 horse to focus on. So I'm going in with a very different mindset for sure, but I think it's important just to enjoy every moment of it. Kola and I have been on an amazing journey together. He was bought to do juniors and young riders, so for him to be going around his 4th 5-star now is unbelievably special. So I'm definitely going to go in and enjoy it, but I'm definitely going to use my experience from last year to help. He put in an unbelievable performance last year, so I wouldn't change a whole load. Of course, I'm going to make little tweaks that I learnt from last year. I'm unbelievably excited to be heading in this year with a phenomenal horse, and I think fundamentally I'm just going to enjoy every minute of it with him. Everyone talks about badminton like it's, you know, the biggest in the world and like no other, and I guess until you've competed there you don't quite understand, you know, how it can be so unbelievably special. But I think for me, competing there for the first time last year, it's the intensity and the level of the crowds. Even in the main arena for the dressage, they are so close, and then on the cross country as well, they are right up by the string and they are everywhere. They could almost, you know, touch your toes. So I think that level of atmosphere that the crowds create is a huge part of what makes it so special, and the adrenaline that it creates inside you as a rider is a feeling like no other, and definitely is a, you know, a huge part of why we do it. Like that adrenaline rush, it's incomparable. Cross-country course is the ultimate test. It's unbelievably technical, it's huge, and everyone always says you get up to, you know, the 2nd or 3rd fence and welcome to Badminton, and that is so true. Just the sheer dimensions of the fences, so it does definitely reveal the horse and riders that have the best partnership and that have put in the work right from the start. My favourite phase is, of course, the cross-country, because that feeling you get in the start box of a big event is like no other. My one piece of advice for anyone who's wanting to achieve their targets and goals is to love your horse, because if you love your horse that you work with, then they will give you your absolute all. And for me, the power of the heart of a horse is bigger than anything else. Kola is a real character. He's a German warm blood by Kotoki, so he goes back to the famous contender lines, and technically on paper he shouldn't be galloping round the tracks like Burley because he's only 40% blood, but the size of his heart has 100% made him achieve what he's achieved so far. He is a real fighter and he's a very arrogant little horse, so he would never admit to himself or anyone else, even if he was tired. So for me, that's a factor that has played a huge part in him achieving what he's achieved, because he, without doubt, never failed to dig so deep for me. It's very hard to narrow down just 3 Lemure products that would be my top picks, because I could go on for a long time with the products that come with me to the events. But if I had to pick 3, the 3 products that definitely are not being left behind for badminton and that I couldn't live without there are the Arctic ice boots. They get put on after every phase, dressage, cross country and show jumping, to make sure that my horse has the ultimate recovery possible. And then the carbon air cross country boots, for me, knowing that my horse is protected by the best is so important, because as we know, it's a pretty intense course out there at badminton with a lot of big solid fences, so knowing that he's got the ultimate protection is very important for me. And then finally, the Lemure range of rugs. So Kola has the Eureka stable range to keep him nice and warm, and then the Kudos cooler rug to travel in, and then also for after he's performed in the dressage, cross country and show jumping to cool him off.